Chosen one, stop scrolling immediately. The heavy, unexplainable exhaustion weighing on your chest right now is not physical, nor is it a random symptom of daily stress. It is the direct, undeniable result of a massive spiritual collision orchestrated by God Himself. Right in this exact moment, as you listen to my voice, two completely different souls are being violently pulled toward your destiny at the same time. You have been wondering why your mind keeps drifting, why your heart has been racing with a strange anxiety, and why the atmosphere around you feels incredibly dense. The secular world would tell you it is just fatigue. But the spiritual truth is that your soul is currently standing at the epicenter of a divine intersection. God is actively shifting your frequency, elevating you to a level of grace and authority so powerful that you have inadvertently become an irresistible magnet. These two individuals are feeling this shift so intensely that it is almost overwhelming them. This is absolutely not a coincidence, and it is certainly not the blind work of a vague universe. This is a sovereign decree issued straight from the throne of heaven. The Almighty is personally rearranging the entire trajectory of your relationships, tearing down the stagnant walls of your past to clear the way for a monumental revelation. One of these souls carries a desperate desire they can no longer hide, while the other bears a terrifying fear they can no longer control. Both are fixated on you, completely consumed by your presence. Yet neither has possessed the courage to step forward first. They are stuck in a state of spiritual paralysis, pulled toward your radiant light like gravity, but frozen by their own internal battles. Your energy has become so rare, so sanctified through the countless trials you have survived, that it is forcing a confrontation in the unseen realm. God is purposely allowing this tension to build around you because He is preparing to expose the hidden motives of every heart that seeks to enter your kingdom. You are being meticulously positioned for a brand new chapter, where divine love, unshakable clarity, and absolute truth will collide all at once. But you must maintain absolute focus right now. Do not let the enemy distract you. Do not let any sudden notification or fleeting thought make you click away from this prophetic message. You need to stay anchored here, because the second person in this story is currently holding a shocking truth, a profound revelation that when they finally step out of the shadows will completely flip your mind and shatter every broken definition of love you have ever known. Look deep into the shadows of the past, where the first soul is writhing in a state of absolute panic they would never dare confess in the light. This is someone you know all too well, someone who once wore a mask of distance, coldness, or confusion. But hidden beneath that fragile shell, they never truly let you go. Right now, they are silently watching your every move, paralyzed by the terrifying realization that you might actually choose to give your heart to someone else. They are undergoing a brutal spiritual purging, where the pride that once acted as their defensive shield has now become the very prison trapping their soul. Why did they cowardly push you away when you offered them nothing but purity? The great Christian thinker C.S. Lewis illuminated this exact spiritual flaw in his profound work, The Four Loves, with a piercing revelation. To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. This person completely rejected that sacred truth. They were utterly terrified of the weakness and vulnerability that genuine God-given love demands. By erecting cold iron walls and retreating into the deceitful illusion of safety, they convinced themselves that withholding their heart would grant them ultimate control. But God never allows human pride to triumph over divine truth. As your inner light shines brighter, and your spiritual frequency is elevated to a realm of supreme authority, their protective shell of arrogance is being crushed into dust. Now they are tasting the agonizing torment of realizing that their own hesitations handedly threw away the most precious jewel heaven ever placed in their path. They lie awake at night, their minds spinning with 1,000 scenarios of regret, and their chest tightens fiercely as they sense a new, incredibly powerful energy moving closer toward your destiny. The authoritative silence you are holding right now is the most ruthless consequence for them. They once harbored the arrogant illusion that you would wait forever. But your majestic transformation has dealt a fatal blow to their complacency. Their heart is screaming for one last chance. Their suppressed emotions are spilling out of control, and they are frantically preparing to break their long silence just to beg you not to move on. However, their remorse, no matter how agonizing, is merely the echo of a dying past. And you are absolutely not allowed to lower your crown to comfort a soul who chose to abandon you in the storm. You are standing at the edge of a monumental revelation. Before God unveils the shocking identity of the second person, the mysterious soul who is approaching you with an unstoppable divine force, you must physically anchor your spirit to this prophetic message. The enemy of your soul wants you to scroll away right now, but you must fight back. Hit the like button to seal your spiritual authority. Share this video to release this blazing light into the unseen realm. And subscribe to the channel immediately to ensure your soul remains plugged into this frequency of grace. Do not blink. Do not scroll and stay with me until the very end, because the unimaginable truth about this second person will permanently alter the entire course of your destiny. Listen to me, and listen carefully with every ounce of your awakening. The enemy of your soul is staring directly at this screen, at this very second, desperately deploying every manipulative tactic to inject distraction into your mind and force your thumb to scroll away. Any sudden wave of drowsiness rising within you, any meaningless text notification that just chimed, or a vague, restless thought urging you to exit this video. None of this is a coincidence. It is a highly calculated spiritual attack from the realm of darkness. They are trembling in absolute panic because they know full well that God is preparing to reveal the identity of the second person. A truth carrying a lightning strike power, strong enough to shatter every chain of loneliness and wipe out the stagnation you have endured for so long. The devil does not want you to lay your hands on this divine deliverance. They crave to see you continue living in deception, doubting your own immense worth, and crawling back to pick up the pathetic, shattered pieces of your past. But you are the chosen one, and you are not allowed to let them steal this destined prophecy that has been sealed by the signet of heaven. Your decision to stay right here is no longer just watching a video. It is a fierce spiritual resistance, a blazing declaration of war proving that you are completely revoking the darkness's control over your life. Right at this life or death boundary, the Almighty requires you to establish an impenetrable shield of protection. Do not let your faith remain as weak, floating concepts in your head. Materialize that power through a definitive physical action. Go to the comments and type this authoritative oath immediately. God's will shall never be broken in my life. The act of engraving these exact words is the sword strike that tears apart the enemy's interference. At the same time, hit the subscribe button right now. This is not a mundane social media tap, but exactly how you drop a heavy anchor, locking your soul into the eternal flow of grace and ensuring you will never be thrown off his protective frequency. Complete this holy covenant right now. Take a deep breath and brace your spirit for the next shockwave. Because in just a moment, when the veil of secrecy is violently torn away, the arrival of the second person will carry a power so extraordinary that it will force every past trauma in your life to fall to its knees in permanent silence. Do not take your eyes off the screen, because the greatest miracle is stepping out of the shadows. But prepare your spirit to receive the monumental plot twist that will shatter every limitation in your current reality. While the first person is drowning in the muddy swamp of their own fear and belated regret, right at this very moment, the second person is moving toward you with the unstoppable, unbreakable force of destiny. They are not stepping forward out of confusion, hesitation, or desperation. Their energy radiates an astonishing steadiness, brilliance, and absolute calm. This is a completely unexpected individual, a soul entirely untainted by the cowardly calculations of the secular world. They do not view you as a backup plan or a mere option. To them, you are an absolute direction, a divine mandate that they feel compelled to follow with their entire being. Their feelings have struck them like spiritual lightning, sudden, impossibly deep, and completely undeniable. Unlike the ghost of your past, this person is not driven by the panic of losing you, but rather propelled by the glorious clarity that they were born to belong to you. The arrival of this individual is absolutely not a random event on your timeline. It is the flawless manifestation of a biblical miracle that once shook the foundations of history. Let your spirit resonate right now with the great restoration of Ruth and Boaz. Just like Ruth, you have had to walk through the deepest dark valleys of loss, tasting the coldness and betrayal of the world, silently navigating the darkness with a pure, unblemished heart. You thought you had been permanently forgotten in the barren, desolate fields of life. But God never turns a blind eye to the faithfulness of a chosen one. With his almighty hand, he unexpectedly guided Ruth straight into the field of Boaz, a man of unwavering authority and stability, who immediately recognized her noble worth without demanding any flashy proof. Boaz stepped forward, spread his cloak of protection over her, and honored her before the entire world. Listen to me very carefully. The second person carrying the flame of truth toward you right now is the Boaz personally dispatched by heaven. They are the abundant harvest God is granting to repay you 100-fold for every wasted tear. This person will not make you fight to earn their love, nor will they force you to scream to prove your value. Because God has already opened their spiritual eyes to see the blazing crown resting upon your head. They are approaching with absolute certainty, bringing a version of love that is stable, intentional, and completely fearless. However, a thorny question is likely screaming in your mind right now. If God had such a glorious reward prepared all along, why did he force me to endure so much cruelty in the past? Do not hastily judge the silence of the Almighty, because the answer lies in the very next section, preparing to deliver an awakening strike that will bring you to your knees in absolute awe of his severe mercy. Do not blink. Do not walk away for even a single second, because the greatest mystery behind your scars is about to be violently torn open, and it will change your life forever. You have cried out to God in the dark countless times, your voice cracking with sheer exhaustion, as you beg to know why your path had to be paved with so much betrayal, abandonment, and gut-wrenching loneliness. Prepare your heart and brace your spirit right now, because the answer is about to drop you to your knees in absolute awe of the Almighty's master plan. The shocking truth that the enemy desperately wants to hide from you is that your past pain was never a punishment, nor was it a sign that you were fundamentally unlovable or cursed. It was actually God's severe mercy, a highly strategic, uncompromising divine blindfold deliberately placed over your eyes. Why would a loving Creator allow his most precious chosen one to suffer at the hands of toxic people? To comprehend this monumental mystery, you must absorb the profound wisdom of the great Christian apologist C.S. Lewis, who decoded this exact spiritual mechanism in his brilliant book, The Problem of Pain, boldly declaring, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pain. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. You see, when you were deeply entangled in those worldly low-frequency relationships, you were spiritually deaf to your own royal identity. You were compromising your sacred value to fit into spaces that were far too small for your destiny. God had to use the deafening megaphone of pain to violently shake you awake. He had to allow the first person to shatter your illusions, and he had to let you taste the bitter cruelty of settling for less, because if he had not, you would have stayed in that toxic comfort zone forever, begging for breadcrumbs when you were explicitly born to feast at a king's table. If the Lord had brought this magnificent, steady second soul into your life a year ago, or even just a few months ago, you would have unintentionally sabotaged the divine connection. You would have looked at their pure, fearless love through the distorted, bleeding lens of your past trauma, projecting your insecurities onto them, doubting their genuine intentions, and pushing them away out of a sheer survival instinct. God had to intentionally isolate you in the wilderness to perform an emergency spiritual surgery on your soul, ruthlessly cutting away your trauma bonds and elevating your energetic frequency. He was preparing you so that when this destined Boaz finally arrived, your hands would be clean and steady enough to receive the blessing without dropping it. Every tear you shed in the dark was actually a drop of holy water, purifying the ground for this massive harvest. Now that the blindfold is officially being removed, the kingdom of darkness is absolutely terrified that you will fully realize your untouchable power. The enemy is frantically whispering in your ear right now, creating a false sense of impatience, urging you to scroll away before the ultimate key is handed to you. Do not let them hijack your miracle. I demand that you exercise your spiritual authority in the physical realm right this second. Go to the comments and boldly type the exact words. I surrender to God's perfect timing, and I claim my ultimate healing. By executing this specific action, you are manually commanding the spiritual atmosphere to lock in your deliverance, blinding the enemy's interference. You must stay glued to this message until the very last second, because what is approaching next is the most dangerous, explosive, and destiny-defining turning point of your entire life. God is no longer keeping these two massive energies apart. They are being forced onto a catastrophic collision course, crashing straight into your physical reality at blinding speed. In just a matter of moments, you will be forced to make a monumental choice between the haunting ghost of your past and the glorious reality of your future. And if you miss the warning in the next segment, you risk making a fatal mistake that could cost you your entire crown. Do not blink. Do not move, because the exact details of this impending collision and the ultimate trap you must absolutely avoid are about to be exposed. The universe is tightening the circle around these two people, and their emotions are reaching a level they can no longer control. You are standing dead center in the middle of a massive spiritual storm, where two entirely different destinies are racing toward you at blinding speed. One person is completely collapsing under the agonizing weight of regret, while the other is rising with a powerful, calm certainty that feels divinely aligned. God is orchestrating a magnificent collision course, pushing both of them to a point where everything hidden must rise to the surface, and neither of them can hold back anymore. Very soon, you will witness a rare and explosive moment where these two energies will stand before you, side by side, one trembling with sheer panic, and the other standing firm with absolute purpose. The first person is preparing to act out of pure desperation, driven by the terrifying realization that someone else is stepping into the place they always assumed would be theirs. Their sudden attempt to reconnect will be raw, emotional, and heavily fueled by the fear of losing you. But the second person's energy is becoming practically unstoppable. They are not approaching you with confusion or hesitation, but with a clean, focused intention to claim this divine connection before the window closes. This collision is not just a dramatic romantic event. It is the ultimate spiritual test of your discernment as the chosen one. The danger hovering over you right now is not that you will end up alone, but that you might be tempted to settle for less out of misplaced pity or toxic familiarity. C.S. Lewis issued a chilling warning about this exact human flaw in his masterpiece, The Weight of Glory, stating, "We are half-hearted creatures, fooling about with drink and sex and ambition when infinite joy is offered us, like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum, because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at the sea." Listen to the gravity of those words. For years, you have been surviving on the emotional scraps and dramatic breadcrumbs offered by the first person. Their toxic cycle of pulling away and desperately rushing back is the mud pie in a slum. You have been sitting in the dirt of a broken relationship for so long that your mind has been tricked into thinking that the mud is all you deserve. But God is standing before you right now offering you the ultimate holiday at the sea, the infinite joy, boundless peace, and fearless stability brought to you by this incredible second soul. Do not insult the Almighty by choosing to crawl back into the familiar mud when a magnificent sunlit ocean of genuine love has just been parted specifically for you. The tension is reaching its absolute peak, and this monumental collision will reveal exactly who truly matches your future and who was only meant to be a chapter in your past. But beware, the enemy will try to cloud your judgment with deceptive feelings of guilt. How exactly does God want you to evaluate these two souls when they finally stand in front of you? What is the strict biblical mandate you must use to cut through their words and expose their true intentions? Do not look away. Do not scroll. And stay with me. Because the sacred standard God is about to reveal in the next few seconds will be the only weapon that saves you from making a catastrophic, destiny-destroying mistake. When these two energies officially collide right before your eyes, there is a supreme mandate from heaven that you absolutely must not violate. Do not ever shrink back into the debilitating insecurities of your past. The spiritual enemy will immediately try to sow venomous seeds of doubt into your mind, making you question if you are perfect enough, young enough, or wealthy enough to deserve a love as magnificent and steadfast as this. Crush that despicable lie instantly. Let your spirit vibrate with power as you remember the historic moment when the prophet Samuel was sent by God to anoint the next king of Israel. When Samuel saw David's tall, charismatic older brothers, he assumed they were the chosen ones. But the Lord delivered a groundbreaking decree in 1 Samuel 16:7. Do not consider his appearance or his height. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. You are the David in the life or death story of your own destiny. You might carry the rough scars of time, financial struggles, or heavy trauma, but all of those earthly flaws are completely meaningless beneath the glorious gaze of the Almighty. The second person stepping into your life is absolutely not driven by shallow secular standards. They are not confused. They are not afraid, and they know exactly what they want. They love you because God has forcefully opened their spiritual eyes, allowing them to pierce through every physical barrier to directly recognize the blazing mark of the anointing shining upon your soul. They fully understand the immense value of your energy, deeply feeling the warmth, the peace, and the absolute loyalty you bring. Because of this profound realization, they do not want to waste time. They do not want to hide. And they are preparing to step forward with a clear, unshakable confidence that might actually shock you. Therefore, stand up straight and proudly wear the crown of the chosen one. You do not need to lower yourself. You do not need to compromise. And you certainly do not need to beg for the attention of shallow people. You deserve an all-encompassing love that never runs away when the storms arrive. But engrave this truth into your bones. Great blessings never automatically fall into the hands of spiritual cowards. Supreme grace always comes with fierce responsibilities. The universe is tightening the circle around these two individuals. And in the exact next 24 hours, there are 4 mandatory holy decrees you must execute at all costs if you do not want to destroy this divine orchestration. Before I reveal these final life-altering instructions, you must establish your spiritual stance right now. Hit the like button to lock in your alignment with this truth. Subscribe to the channel immediately to ensure your soul remains tethered to this prophetic frequency. And share this video to release the grip of darkness from other wandering souls. The enemy is screaming in terror, begging you to stop the video right here, so you remain permanently blind to the destiny-activating key. Absolutely do not scroll away or blink, because the 4 life or death mandates in the very next section will instantly dictate the entire remainder of your life. Listen to me with the utmost intensity, because God does not pour fresh, new wine into old, leaking wineskins. The massive blessing of this romantic and spiritual collision is rushing toward you at blinding speed. But to safely receive it, heaven demands immediate physical action. The tension between these two individuals has reached an explosive point where their emotions can no longer stay hidden, and they are both being violently pushed into a moment where silence is absolutely no longer an option. But before this destined encounter fully unfolds, you are being placed under a strict 24-hour divine decree. Supreme blessings always come with severe responsibilities, and within the exact next 24 hours, you must execute these 4 holy mandates to prove to the Creator that your soul is truly ready to handle the heavy weight of this glory. You must ruthlessly sever the toxic anchor. I am commanding you to physically pick up your phone right now and block or completely cut off any lingering connection to individuals who continuously drain your energy, disrespect your boundaries, or treat your precious heart like an option. You cannot possibly embrace the stable, intentional, and fearless love the second person is preparing to offer if your hands are still desperately gripping the bleeding thorns of your past. You must initiate a strict fasting of complaints. From this very second forward, not a single word of lamentation about your prolonged loneliness, your past betrayals, or your financial lack is allowed to exit your mouth. Your words are not merely empty sounds. They are sharp spiritual swords that actively shape your reality. When you complain, you are single-handedly building an iron wall that blocks your own blessings. Instead, you must prophesy over your life. Open your mouth and boldly declare to the empty room, I am stepping into my season of absolute victory, and my ultimate harvest is here. You must assume the physical posture of a sovereign. Look around your living space right now. A chaotic, cluttered environment reflects a disorganized, traumatized mind. Clean your room. Organize your space. Pull your shoulders back and stand up incredibly straight. Stop walking through life with the slumped, heavy posture of a defeated victim. The second person is stepping toward you out of pure confidence, not fear, bringing a bond that feels beautifully aligned and meant to be. You must be equally prepared, mirroring that divine energy by carrying yourself like the royalty God explicitly designed you to be. You must manually activate heaven's law of the harvest by sowing a prophetic seed of faith. The spiritual realm operates on the undeniable biblical principle of sowing and reaping. If you want a massive downpour of romantic and financial abundance to flood your life, you must plant a seed into the spiritual soil right now. Whether you choose to sow a financial seed of gratitude into this ministry, to boldly declare your independence from the spirit of poverty, or you vigorously share this exact video to serve as a blazing beacon of light for another lost soul, you must act. Because by giving freely, you are violently proving to the unseen realm that you operate from a place of infinite faith, not scarcity. The enemy is desperately praying that you will ignore these 4 mandates, hoping you will remain passive, stagnant and lazy, so that this magnificent window of grace permanently shuts. Do not give the devil the satisfaction of your downfall. The energies are circling. The climax is rising rapidly right now, and the ultimate crowning moment of your life is only a few heartbeats away. Will you fiercely rise to the occasion, or will you cowardly shrink back into the shadows? Do not look away. Do not scroll. Because the final destiny sealing revelation in the very next section is the ultimate covenant that will lock your miracle in forever. The universe has brought these 2 massive energies to the absolute edge of a moment that will permanently change the landscape of your reality. One heart is trembling with the suffocating panic of regret, while the other is glowing with a calm divine certainty that feels perfectly aligned. Both of these forces are reaching you at the exact same moment. But hear me clearly. The chaotic spiritual storm is officially over. The heavy invisible burden that has crushed your chest for months has just been permanently shattered. You have successfully survived the grueling wilderness. You have passed the ultimate test of discernment, and you have fiercely proven your royal identity as the chosen one. Now the Almighty is stepping in to execute his final glorious judgment. When these 2 souls stand before you, the stark contrast will be blinding. The desperate, frantic energy of the past will instantly evaporate in the presence of the steady, intentional, and fearless love that the second person is bringing into your life. This collision will definitively reveal exactly who is meant to build a magnificent future with you, and who was only meant to teach you a painful lesson about your own worth. For so long, you wondered if you were asking for too much. But God is about to show you that you were actually asking for too little. Let the majestic promise of 1 Corinthians 2:9 echo through your spirit right now. But as it is written, eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor have entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for those who love him. Your human mind, constrained by past traumas and worldly disappointments, could never have possibly imagined the sheer magnitude of the blessing God was meticulously forging for you in the dark. The second person is the living, breathing manifestation of that unimaginable promise. Now it is time for you to ascend to your throne and claim your ultimate harvest. You must finalize this eternal covenant with the Creator right this second. Do not let this blazing energy dissipate into the void. Hit the like button to lock in your supreme victory. Subscribe to the channel to permanently anchor your soul to this timeline of miracles. And you must go to the comments right now to stamp your physical and spiritual signature by typing these exact words. I release the past and claim God's absolute best for my life. By boldly declaring this command, you are